The Glass Shield is a 1994 American crime drama co-written and directed by Charles Burnett. It stars Michael Boatman and Lori Petty as rookie deputy sheriffs who uncover a conspiracy around the arrest of a suspect played by Ice Cube. This film stars Richard Anderson, Bernie Casey, Victoria Dillard, Elliot Gould, Don Harvey, Michael Ironside, Wanda DeJesus, and M. Emmett Walsh. In Vincent's selection for this stop on the mission, Vincent, what say you of The Glass Shield?
I think, as you mentioned, the reason that we're talking about this film, frankly, is because it is part of the filmography of Charles Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
And this is now our fourth time visiting his filmography, starting, of course, with To Sleep with Anger,
Mm-hmm.
a favorite film of ours. We actually have hosted a showing of it. The legendary Killer of Sheep,
Mm-hmm.
which many people have talked about. We talked about The Annihilation of Fish, which was the lost film that we rediscovered last week. And The Glass Shield, I know someone wrote in about it, and you know it is part of the Charles Burnett filmography. But I would argue this is the one that no one really talks about that much.
Besides Annihilation of Fish, which people just didn't know about.
People didn't know about it, but it's making up for lost time.
Right.
Immediately.
Right.
And I think the most important thing about this film is that it came out in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
3 years after the Rodney King case, where we had the entire world saw the footage of policemen beating on Rodney King. And 1 year before the O.J. murder trial,
Mm-hmm.
where, frankly, a lot of us were exposed to, allegedly, the shortcuts, the corruption that occurs in a lot of these police departments.
Yeah.
And you can tell that a film that is informed by this new understanding of police brutality, that you know, the police aren't infallible, the police aren't good guys, but doesn't really have the language or the experience of the details of what happened in the OJ trial.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of in this middle state. As you mentioned, the film centers around Deputy J.J. Johnson, played by Michael Boatman, who is the first black deputy of this sheriff's department.
Yes.
In this Los Angeles township. And the racism that he deals with, the challenges of being the first black deputy there, his partner in arms, who's also dealing with her own challenges as a first, is Lori Petty's deputy Deborah Fields.
Okay.
Who not only is the first woman detective, but she's also Jewish.
Mm.
So she's dealing with sexism and anti-Semitism. And they find out that there is corruption.
Yes.
In this police unit. The flashpoint of this is a young man named Teddy, played by Ice Cube, is stopped in an illegal stop, and he has a gun, and he goes to jail, and everything sort of circles around this case, which then come to find out is the tip of the iceberg for ongoing corruption in this department. There is blackmail, there's this, that, and the other. The case that Teddy is being framed about has to do with the murder of a woman in a carjacking and robbery gone wrong. Elliot Gould's character is Mr. Greenspan.
Yes.
His wife has been murdered, and we are dealing with that and what that means. And I'm kind of rushing through the actual details of the corruption because none of it actually really gels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we find out fairly soon that Elliot Gould's character is the one who set up the murder of his wife for an insurance scam.
Yeah.
But then the film ties this into this ongoing practice of this police department and this corrupt police department and them covering up corruption, and corruption is used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never quite sure exactly what was being covered up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the end goal of this police unit and the corruption and how things were covered up.
Yeah. And you didn't even touch on part of it somewhere connects to one of the detectives who has to retire because he's got cancer, and he's talking about, I need to leave something for my...
Right. And you think maybe this is connected to this insurance money.
Right.
But it's not, and there's not even a sense, like they're not embezzling money. But again, I just got the sense it was all very nebulous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where Charles Burnett wanted to address this new landscape where the public understood that these police departments took shortcuts.
Yes.
When they want to make cases, when they want to do things. And the reason that I bring up the fact that this is a year before the OJ trial, mm-hmm. and what happens consequently with OJ being found not guilty,
right,
is that there is a narrative to that trial. And I'll just put myself out there where I actually, this is my personal belief. What I'm about to say does not represent the Micheaux Mission or any affiliates of the Micheaux Mission. This is what Vince believes.
Okay.
Where I believe O.J. Simpson murdered those two people. Mm-hmm. But I also believe that Mark Fuhrman in the Los Angeles Police Department moved evidence around, mm-hmm. did these kind of shortcuts, planted things. The chain of custody wasn't the way it was supposed to be because they were trying to make the case easier.
Right.
I think that's a much richer story to explore. I think one of the missteps of this plot is that there's maybe a 10-15 minute moment sequence where you're not sure whether or not Ice Cube's character actually murdered this woman. But then the film blinks, and now you've got people changing serial numbers on guns, and then, you know, as I said, this plot point about the insurance comes out, so that now it turns into an almost cartoonish exploration of this evil police department, who's railroading this guy. And it's a shame because there's much richer material sitting right there. And where I landed was, I really wish instead of this coming out in 1994, this would have come out in 1997.
Okay.
When
right.
then
after OJ.
After OJ, and he could have put all of that in there. The direction, I think Charles Burnett is
Burnett.
I'm sorry, Charles Burnett is still Charles Burnett. I love the way the film is shot. Part of the reason I was disappointed that the issues of morality ended up being way more black and white, because it very much looks like one of these neo-noir films. Mm-hmm. Very deep reds, very deep blues.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think there's ever a moment where characters aren't shot in shadow.
Of some sort, yeah.
And you know, the light coming through the blinds, cutting everyone up so that you know that these are people living in this morally ambiguous world. Mm-hmm. And I love that look. It actually reminded, I actually looked up the cinematographer because it looked so much like Deep Cover.
Yeah.
I thought it was perhaps the same cinematographer, and it's not. This is Elliot Davis,
Okay.
who has worked on a number of things, and I like his work, specifically Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsider. Well, he was a camera operator. Well, anyway, he's worked on some films that I've liked a lot. The performances, okay. I think the biggest, in my mind, the biggest issue with the performances is that the two actors right in the center of it, Michael Boatman and Lori Petty, I don't find particularly that strong as actors that this would circle around. What helps is that they have strong people around them.
Mm-hmm.
The aforementioned Bernie Casey,
yes, plays
a lawyer, and he's doing really well. Michael Ironside,
always good.
Love Michael Ironside. Emmett Walsh,
always good,
is in here, always good. Speaking of deep cover, I love Victoria Dillard. And she plays JJ's fiance, who doesn't have a huge role, but every scene she's in, she captures the complexity of being involved with a black policeman in Los Angeles in 1994 in a way that I think comes from her performance more than the script.
Yeah, it's all about what you see her doing in the background.
Or more than the part. So that the question I was asking myself was, if I did not know this was a Charles Burnett film, would I be interested in it?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, I'm not sure I would be. I'm not sure I would be. As you mentioned, Ice Cube is in Blinking when this is a film that people talk about the way it was publicized, and Harvey Weinstein allegedly tried to bury it.
Yeah.
And at this moment in 1994, the quote unquote hood film was the flavor of the month. And I remember the commercials for this film and the advertising. Like, you really thought
that's what you're going to get.
Ice Cube was going to be the center of this thing.
He's front and center on almost all of the advertisements.
And as you mentioned, maybe 10 minutes of screen time with Ice Cube. So I understand people going in and being disappointed because of the advertising. But once you put the advertising aside, I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone for me to justify recommending this film.
I hated this movie. This movie was just so very frustrating for me. And I think you talk about whether or not if it wasn't Charles Burnett doing it, would you recommend it? I think here, to me, I see a bit of the fatal flaw in the Charles Burnett filmography. Killer of Sheep is pretty much like his first feature, right? And it's very experimental in its storytelling, in its filmography and everything. It almost is damn near documentarian.
Yeah.
In what it's trying to relate. Okay. Then you go to the other, and first of all, Charles Burnett, his filmography is small.
Yeah.
He doesn't have 10 films.
No.
His other big film is the To Sleep with Anger, which centers around this family, and it centers around this agent of chaos, which is Danny Glover's character coming in, and how his presence totally disrupts this family. So it really is this singular story. Okay. The Annihilation of Fish, which we both loved, but is very much about these three people. And even if you want to just distill that even down to these two people,
right.
James Earl Jones and Lynn Redgrave, with a smattering of Margot Kidder, but it's really about this little triangle you know? So it's a very small story. It's compact. Here you have in The Glass Shield, and from 1994, definitely it's coming out within the right in the midst of like the hood films that are the flavor of the month at this time. But what I tracked is that this movie also comes out 4 years after the debut of, on television, Law and Order.
Okay.
And by 1994, Law and Order is a certifiable hit. I mean, it's a hit out the box. But by 1994, it's a TV show everybody is watching. And it is a TV show that by which some people are starting to, you know, gauge their perception. You might call it, maybe it is Law and Order another form of propaganda? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the prevailing form of propaganda at that time, especially against these hood films, which are very, very anti-cop.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got The Glass Shield, which very much to me in its depiction and in its film work and in some of its stylization feels like it's speaking in the language of Law and Order, but against the propaganda of Law and Order, trying to give you a window into both the corruption in the police force and to a degree how that prevails over into the side of the judicial as well. That's the way that I'm reading it. Okay. I definitely read the whole new neo-noir aspects that you're talking about with the color of it in some of the settings and production values of it. But in trying to tell this story, Charles Burnett has laced this movie. You talk about plot. There is plot upon plot upon plot upon plot in this movie. And there is too much plot. And I think that is the undoing of Charles Burnett because he doesn't know where he wants to 100% focus his energy on. Mm-hmm. You talk about how there was at one point you may have thought that Ice Cube, you're not sure whether or not Ice Cube actually killed this woman. I contend that there is never any doubt that he did not kill this woman because when the police are called to the crime scene, the Lori Petty character, who we are also supposed to be, you know, be our window into this world alongside Michael Boatman's character, she is the first one to point out, like, hey, this math ain't mathin'.
Right. About
what he's saying. So it already looks like it's supposed to be, you know, an inside job from Elliot Gould's character. So when they arrest Ice Cube, I never suspect that it's him. Do I wonder, like he says that he has a gun that he took or he was given from his girlfriend's father.
Who hasn't been there? Haven't you ever stolen your girlfriend's father's gun?
No.
Good answer. That was a test.
But even just that, putting in that little piece there, like, why are you coming up to works there? You've got enough. There's enough things here. Like, you don't need this. You don't need to do this to Charles. There's plenty, bruh. You don't need this. And so now we've got to deal with that. Then we've got to deal with Richard Anderson's character as the head of the sheriff department. You know, he's walking around.
Just real quick. Did Richard Anderson do anything besides the $6 Million Man in this?
Well, actually, he did quite a few things.
Okay.
He did quite a few things.
Like,
well, because he was also on The Bionic Woman. But no, he was an actor before.
Okay, all right. I'm assuming older movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Once he found his way in television, he was yes. But he was always but that's the thing. And trust me, I get that Charles Burnett, man of a certain age, is casting Richard Dean Anderson Richard Anderson, not Richard Dean. Richard Anderson in this role because he's trying to play him against type, against the Oscar, you know, the good guy from the $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman.
Because I ain't like it.
Well, no, because he definitively is the bad guy.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
But he still is doing nothing. He's just walking in and just telling people, fix it, handle it. That's all he's doing. The entire movie.
Lynn, you said it's got so much plot. I need you to explain to me what was the deal with them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. There's these two cops who are dealing with a case that we never really are introduced to. It's just mentioned off in the ether.
Right.
They're talking about one guy's he's got cancer and he's got to shore up his life benefits for his kids or something like that. Cut to 20 minutes later in the movie, he's dropping dead in the middle of the squad room. I don't know what is happening. I don't know. And frankly, at some point, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I just wanted this movie to be over. Lori Petty, who is an actor who I enjoy more often than not. I've enjoyed her. I enjoyed her especially with the movie that made her famous, Tank Girl. And then every other time that I've seen her, I like her. I see Lori Petty. She's trying to make a meal out of what they've given her. But Charles Burnett hasn't given her a lot. Michael Boatman is woefully miscast in this movie. And admittedly, he's very young in his career at this time. And you know, because he has hair.
Right.
But he comes across as someone who has had theater training, but hasn't had film training.
Interesting.
Because everything he does is big.
That is very true.
Every single thing every movement he makes in this movie is big and pronounced and loud and seamy. And that is the antithesis of what you do in film work, right? It's small because the camera will capture it. And because of that, he got on my nerves 5 minutes into this movie. And I was like, yo, can we focus on someone else? Well, okay, Ice Cube is in here. Oh, then he's not.
And then he's not. And then he's not.
And then he's not. And then when he shows back up, he don't say nothing. He's in the movie 10 minutes. He maybe has 5 lines.
Yeah. In
the entire film. Bernie Casey shows up. Good, solid work, but it's not, you know.
Yeah.
He's basically phoning it in.
Yeah.
You know, he's living off of I'm Bernie Casey.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing Charles Burnett a favor. Elliot Gould, you've got me for an hour. I got you for an hour, dog. I got you for an hour. When his character shows up dead, it ain't Elliot Gould's body.
Right.
They don't even cut towards. He won't even lie down so they can shoot him dead.
I know.
At least, I said an hour. My ride is here.
Yeah.
I'm out.
This is the second film in like a month we've seen Tommy Hicks as a preacher.
Right?
Is that random?
You know what?
Is that Tommy Hicks again as a preacher?
Because he bought the costume.
He's not a preacher in Daughters of the Dust, is he? I don't think he's a preacher. I think he's like
I don't think he's a preacher in that. No,
right, but
no,
okay.
But I bet we can find another movie where
he's a preacher. Where he plays a preacher. I have my own costume. Tommy Hicks reading for preacher.
Tommy Hicks is in his own shared universe of films as a preacher.
So after he sexually assaults Nola Darling and she's got to have it, he gives his life to Christ and he's trying to make amends.
Yes. And he wanders film.
He walks the earth from film to film as a clergyman. You know what? I'll allow it. I'm for that. I am for that. He feels so guilty about she's got to have it, he becomes a priest.
A priest for justice.
A priest for justice. And that is more interesting than anything that happened in the Glass Shield. In the Glass Shield.
Oh my God, this movie just and you talk about Victoria Dillard. Talk about a waste.
Look, man,
a talented actor.
Love Victoria Dillard. Did not work enough all through the 90s.
No.
Again, we talked about her in Deep Cover where she held her own with prime
Lawrence Fishburne. Yes.
So like this with Michael Boatman is...
You see her walking with Michael Boatman. Can you just give me something?
Yeah.
Can you give me something? You're so big.
Yeah.
You're so big. You can see her literally in her. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be here. Yeah, I was through with this movie. Like, I understood. You're right. I understood the commentary that he's trying to make, but I think he's trying. He doesn't have the language yet. It's still developing in this time.
Right.
And I think that it's just a little bit too much story for him. This movie just felt like a real long, boring episode of Law and Order.
Well, you know, the fascinating thing about what you're saying within the context of Law and Order, what I was thinking as you were talking about it, I feel like there's a cut of this movie where you edit out all of the police plot.
And you're just in the
like Bernie Casey's lawyer versus this other lawyer with the judge. And because my favorite scene in the film, they had this dual set of scenes where the lawyers were prepping the witnesses. And, you know, once again, back to this noir aesthetic, they're shot in, you know, the sun is setting in these offices and everybody is sitting in silhouette, coaching their witnesses. And I was like, wow, this is really engaging right here. And, you know, and the bad thing is none of the primary players
are in
the scenes.
No, not at all.
But to your point, at 2 hours, this is a really boring episode of Law and Order. I think there's an hour episode that crackles.
There's an hour episode of L.A. Law.
L.A. Law.
It's just the lawyers
that crackles.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
That you can
because even like the scenes in the courtroom,
even the scenes in the courtroom had a little pop.
Yeah. But we've got to go back to the sheriffs.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, I think there was that really electric moment after Rodney King, where in retrospect, I don't even think the real sort of paradigm shift was the footage of the policeman in Rodney King. I think the real shift was this understanding, and really this white understanding, that there are two different Americas. Like, I think the real shift was our white countrymen realizing that as shocked as many of them were, how nonplussed we were.
Because this was
nothing new to our reality.
Absolutely. This was just caught on camera.
It was just caught on camera. So, again, I kind of understand how you're drawn into the police side of it.
Oh yeah.
But it is a shame because you know, just to repeat what we've said 5 minutes ago, the part that actually works is the legal side.
Yeah, it's a shame. So do you land on that you would recommend The Glass Shield?
You know, on its own merits, I do not.
Yeah.
But to your point, I mean, what do we got? I mean, what do we have besides these 4 films?
As far as for
Charles Burnett.
That is, I mean, that's not his full filmography,
right?
But those
I know it's not his full film, but I know
those are the tentpoles.
Those are the big 4.
Those are for the most part. That's the deal. That's the ones that people talk about. Looking at his filmography, which, like I said, is not big at all. You got Killer Sheep, My Brother's Wedding, To Sleep with Anger,
and My Brother's Wedding. Is that feature length?
Not really.
Why did I think that was like barely, an hour?
It's barely. To Sleep with Anger, The Glass Shield, The Annihilation of Fish, and then his last movie from 2007 is Namibia.
Namibia? But is that a film?
Yeah, The Struggle for Liberation.
That's not a documentary?
It is. No, it's a film that features Charles Lumley and Danny Glover.
Okay. Click on My Brother's Wedding, because I've thought about that before, and I thought there was something about it where I said, nah, we can't really do it on here. I thought it was like an hour long.
Yeah, I think it's only like, I don't think it's a full.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a full film.
Well, hour 16.
Yeah, I knew it was really short.
But to be fair, I mean, there were features from the 20s and 30s that are an hour.
Yeah.
15.
So, I hate to say you can skip it for someone whose filmography is this short, but I think I might land on that. And you?
Oh yeah, I think you can skip it.
Yeah,
I absolutely think you can skip it. I think the shame of it is, though, I found myself, and we have talked about it here on the mission. Heaping praise on Charles Burnett. But I wonder, as much praise as we heap up on him and for his place in black film history, is all of that really primarily because of just those 2 films?
Killer Sheep and
To Sleep with Anger.
I mean,
because the Annihilation of Fish people don't really know about.
Right.
And it doesn't even necessarily feel like what you would think a Charles Burnett film would feel like. And this film, while I get what he's doing,
sure,
it just doesn't come together.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has enough. There's not enough arrows in his quiver to really say like.
I mean, I think a lot of those. I mean, particularly the L.A. Rebellion. Julie Dash, we really only talk about Daughters of the Dust.
Yeah, but with Julie Dash, you understand that there was also a situation where the opportunities weren't presented.
Sure. You wouldn't say that about Charles Burnett?
He seemed to have made his way.
Sankofa is
I mean, oh yes, okay, yeah, but that's the collective,
right?
If you're looking at the collective, yes, they are to be heralded.
No, right, but individually, I think we perhaps give them accolades, and those accolades are based on a pretty limited
sample size.
Yeah,
you're looking up Sankofa.
Yeah, because his name is right on the tip of my tongue. And that is, of course, the great Halle Garima.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about his filmography.
Yeah, what are we talking about there?
Yeah. There's Bush Mama, which has been on my Shut Up Lynn short list for years. And Ash and Embers.
Mm-hmm.
But even now we're pretty much done.
And then when you look at who else is the other name out of the L.A. Rebellion is Jamal Fanaka.
Right.
And that's
what Jamal Fanaka put in that work, though. Jamal Fanaka put in that work.
Okay. Yeah, he made Penitentiary.
In Emma's Revenge and Welcome Home, Brother Charles.
Yes, Welcome Home, Brother Charles. Which we will be welcoming home soon in the months coming up.
I really do want to do a double bill with that and Alien. We call it Big Black and Dangerous. Big Black and Dangerous double feature. But there you go.
That too would be more interesting than the glass shield.
Yeah.